Well, hello there. Today I'm going to talk about an issue I had with my CVA Cascade. Well, technically this is my dad's rifle, and CVA Cascade XT chambered in 35 Whelen. We just got this rifle about a month or so ago, and putting it through its paces, doing some ammo development, and by ammo development I mean just testing out some factory loads. It likes the Barnes 200 grain TTSX. It'll shoot that stuff about 3/4 MOA off of a rear bag and a really not very stable Spartan Javelin bipod. So the fact that you're getting accuracy like that really is a testament to the rifle. It's got a good quality barrel, good contour. I like the contour and everything. It seems, pretty good. Even threw some 196 hammers through it, and those bullets are a little expensive for having Dad use them, and he wasn't really all that thrilled with them, even though we've used the hammers and they're my favorite bullets. But this gun will shoot hammers very, very accurately. Sub half MOA, which is fantastic. There's a lot of things I like about this rifle. I might do a review of it once we get it really dialed in, but it did have a major problem, and that was with the scope base. So what had happened is we were shooting this gun, and the first time we had it at the range, it was doing pretty good. I took it out a second time to test at 0 to make sure it was still shooting good, and it was not. It was just shooting erratically all over the fucking place, wandering 0 like crazy. And I noticed at the time, we were using Vortex heavy duty rings back then, and I noticed that the rings were actually, the scope was sliding backwards in those rings, the Vortex heavy duty rings, and they were the 6-hole ones as well. And they still, torqued to 17 inch-pounds, because this is a Vortex Strike Eagle scope. I've used this scope on a 35 Whelen before. It was on my custom 35, and it handled that well, but it was in a spur mount, not Vortex Defender rings. I have used a Vortex Strike Eagle and Night Force 6-hole rings on a 308 Winchester, and that's shot probably 500 rounds with no thread lock, and I haven't even retorqued the base or anything. Nothing's been retorqued, and it just has never had an issue. So same setup as my 308, Night Force 6-hole rings. These are the ultralight rings, and Vortex Strike Eagle scope. I've had good success with this setup, and we took it back out to the range, and fortunately these rings have seemed to do their job. They're holding on perfectly fine. No problems with the scope or the scope rings anymore. But when there's one problem, there's usually another, and the problem was with this scope base. And this is something, if you buy this rifle, maybe any CVA, maybe check this, because they use way too much oil on these scope base rings. When I went to take the scope off, because I'd noticed when Dad was shooting the gun, or he was operating the bolt, that the scope was wobbling, and I was like, what the fuck? I said, hold on to the gun, and I grabbed the scope and I could move it, and sure enough, the scope base was loose. When I took the scope off, these screws were barely in there. I mean, I could get them to come loose just with my fingertips. When I got the scope base off, I mean, it was just saturated in oil. I mean, saturated. It was all over the place, bathed in oil. And if you know anything about oil in your screws, you're not going to engage the threads properly. So what I had to do was get some alcohol and get all the fucking oil off of there. And just to make sure this base is staying on there, I'm using the JB Weld thread lock. And they want you to torque these down to 25 inch-pounds. But if you're using a thread locker, I heard it's best to go a little less than that. So I put these at 22 inch-pounds and with the thread locker, and we'll see how that does. But 24 hours to cure. I'm not putting the scope on it. I'm just going to let it cure and harden up. And then we'll have the rifle back out at the range, and maybe I'll do some videos and show you guys how well this CVA Cascade does. I know right now, if you're a 35 Whelen guy, this rifle is kind of all the rage. It does seem to be pretty good, but there's usually a shortcoming with everything, and It's that scope base. If you buy this rifle, get that scope base, take that fucker off, get all the oil out of there. There's just so much in it. It's crazy. And maybe you don't have to use thread locker. You probably don't, but you know, I really don't feel like wasting more expensive ammo to find out. So I'm just gonna thread locker the fucker in place and call it good. But that'll be all. If you guys want to see updates, subscribe to the channel.